Presenti. Thanks for tuning in. Today on Retail News, we will be exploring the uses of technology in the fast food industry. We are trying to figure out if these new technology trends are being used by consumers or just there for show. Off to you, Hester.
Are we live? Hello and good morning, Toronto. My name is Hester Ludwig and we are at a McDonald's on a very busy Tuesday afternoon. Come on, head inside. Today we are going to explore whether or not people are using the electronic kiosk versus the traditional cash register. Hey, here's a nice young gentleman. Let's see if he prefers to use the kiosk. Young gentleman, what do you have to say?
Well, usually I go to the cash register, but sometimes I come to the kiosk just because today I'm ordering a lot of food and I find it easier to just type in what I want instead of have to explain it to a cashier.
Wonderful. Here's a nice middle-aged lady. Let's go and talk to her. Hello, nice young middle-aged lady. Do you prefer to use the counter or the kiosks?
Oh, the counter. I don't have time for the kiosks. I just came here to get my coffee. I have 4 kids waiting in the car. I don't have time to be fumbling around with those screens.
Amazing. This experience was amazing. Now back to you, Olivia.
3. Wow. Thanks, Hester. That was truly phenomenal. Next, the very first real-life cat salesperson. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Olivia Presenti. Today on Retail News, we will be looking further into our story on new retail technology. McDonald's kiosks. Are they useful or just a huge waste of time? We've brought in some data experts to help us look further into our quantitative and qualitative data. Over to you, Jason and Lisa.
Awesome, thanks Olivia. All right guys, let's dive right in.
The data was gathered through observational analysis between the hours of a lunch rush, so between 12:40 and 1:10 p.m. A sample of 100 people were taken, and for each person that walked in, their gender, approximate age, and whether or not they used the counter or the kiosk was recorded. From this data, we could conclude a few things. First, out of all the females that entered, 73% of them chose to use the counter, while 27% chose to use the kiosk, opposed to men whom 63% of them chose the counter versus the 37% that chose to use the kiosk. From this sample, we can state that men are more inclined to use the technology over women. Next, we wanted to look into age groups. Before the study was conducted, it was predicted that the younger age group, people between the ages of 18 to 25, would be more willing to use the kiosks rather than use the counter. This was because we assumed the younger generation would be more comfortable with the newer technology. It was discovered that out of the 53 people included in the age group, ages 18 to 25, 62% of them chose to use the counter rather than the 38% that chose to use the kiosks. We then predicted that the older age group would be less inclined to use the kiosks and would prefer to use the counter. Out of the 13 people from the sample aged 46 and older, 62% preferred the counter over the 38% that preferred the kiosk, which is identical to the youngest age group, from ages 18 to 25. Overall, the counter with the cashiers is the first choice for most customers.
We also conducted an independent t-test for the gender versus ordering preference and then the age group versus ordering preference. It was discovered that because the p-value was greater than 0.05 in both tests, we will be accepting the null. This means that there is no true difference between the two means. We can conclude then that there is no real correlation between a certain gender or age group using a kiosk or counter over the other. Additional observation concluded that there was a moderator present in our research. With customers being the independent variable and the choice of kiosk or counter being the dependent variable, the length of the line was the moderator in the choice that people were making. If there was a long line at the counter, customers might choose the kiosk to avoid waiting, even if their initial decision walking in was to order at the counter.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Now back to Olivia.
Wow, great stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Next, we have the 4-year-old rocket scientist here in studio.